So, hi all. I've got my good friend Kostas Kerionis here, also known as Fat and Mad. Some of you were requesting that I check out the... let's turn that off. So we're going to turn off the chess cube window to avoid game challenges. We're going to look at the Budapest Gambit in particular. I think we're going to discuss it. So this is not something that either you or me have actually played with black much.
I've not played it myself, no, but I've played against it quite a few times from the white side.
All right, yeah. From the white side, I've got a pet system against it. Shall I just quickly show you my?
Well, let's play E5 first and have a quick discussion about what black's trying to achieve here, I suppose.
Okay, so
at first sight, it looks a bit of a crazy move, E5, giving up the pawn. But what white, in a closed system with pawns on E5 and C4, D4 and C4, it's quite a slow development. And with E5, what black is saying is that actually the pawn on C4 doesn't really have a role in an open game. And black always thinks that he can reclaim the pawn at a later date, at which point the pawn on C4 may look a bit silly.
Oh, you're right. Also, I mean, I think if white does D takes E, it's a bit like D5 in that the dark squares are a bit weakened. So C5 could be a good blockade square for the C4 pawn. The bishop might be hemmed in later. With the two pawns together, they're usually stronger. So there is some sort of...
Exactly. So if you look at the two kings bishops, black's has an immediate role, whereas white's is slightly hampered by its own C4 pawn. So white's playing a slower game. Black tries to accelerate his development by playing E5.
Actually, let's give them a bigger board. Is that a bigger board for you guys? Anyone there? We've got 6 viewers. Can you tell people on Chess Cube, just in case they're interested? So, actually, I could have mentioned it in the main Cube Cafe. Can someone mention it in the main Cube Cafe? We're doing Budapest, if that's possible. Okay. So the main reply is not D5.
No.
It's
I
the
think
take
let's
pawn.
look at takes. Nothing else is worth looking at, really.
Yeah. Okay, so the two main moves for black, which I so here they're evident that knight G4 is much more popular than knight E4, and I think that's given another gambit named Fajerowicz or something.
The Fajerowicz gambit, I think. It's quite a tricky move, actually. The main line is knight G4, but knight E4 is quite tricky to meet if you're not prepared for it.
Yeah.
It's white can go wrong more quickly against knight E4.
Yeah, I think I did a trap video actually on YouTube about knight E4. I didn't realise it was actually a main move.
I actually have played knight E4.
Oh right, did you win with it?
I drew with Neil Ragwani about 15 or 16 years ago. And I didn't play chess again for another 9 months afterwards. So that's my experience of knight E4. But he just swapped off all the pieces. It was pretty boring.
All right, yeah. Okay, so the percentages for black actually, well, it's a smaller game sample here. We can't really trust the smaller game sample, but it's slightly ahead on that in theory, 30.2%. Now I wonder what the theoretical background to that is, but anyway, so let's click on knight G4 to see what this game's database think statistically the most popular moves here.
Well, I always play bishop F4 here.
You always play bishop F4. Do you think
Always.
that's the strongest?
I think it's the strongest move.
Really, not knight F3. Must come in as second candidate to present that pawn.
But bishop F4 just Salakind's old move. I think it's the main line, really.
It's the main line. It
Bishop
seems to be ahead here, and also has like one of the highest winning percentages. I think E4 is also actually that's E4 has got, but it's a lower game sample. So bishop F4.
Let's look at bishop
is
F4,
one way
because there's a really interesting line here for black,
right?
Which is the main line is knight C6, just obviously just ganging up on the E5
pawn.
pawn.
There's a very sharp move here.
G5 is very sharp, and white really, if he doesn't know what he's doing, can quickly go wrong.
So with the bishop on F4, in principle, you might think, maybe bishop B4 check is more dangerous, but
no, you just play knight BD2.
Yeah, there's no way of getting pressure quickly because there's no knight E4s, is there?
The way white will develop here is knight F3, knight BD2, E3, bishop E2,
yes,
castle's kingside, yeah? That's
nice.
the standard plan. So the check on B4 itself isn't really a problem. Black often gives up that black squared bishop in the main line.
Right. So what should we look at here? Should we look at both of these, or should we have a look at knight c6? Black's trying to regain.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think we should have a quick look at g5 because it's actually quite sharp.
Okay, g5. Yes, g5. So where is the bishop going after g5? Either bishop g3 or bishop d2.
Yeah.
Bishop d2, it can come to c3 and maybe attack this.
Bishop d2 is the strongest move.
Diagonal, right. Bishop d2 is actually the strongest
Yeah.
move. Yes, it's got a higher percentage because that diagonal's being weakened, so it doesn't matter if black gains the pawn back.
Yes, I mean, bishop g3, if it goes to g3, it can be a target for things like h5.
That's right. Let's have a look at bishop g3. I suppose not h5 immediately. Even just bishop g7. Actually, that's another point. Just to try and attack.
And also
that
the long
pawn.
black diagonal.
So there's a lot of pressure on e5.
Yeah, and also on the b2 square indirectly.
And on bt, yes.
Yeah.
So say knight c3. So knight g takes e5. I think black's got a good position here. It's about equal now. The
Someone's saying that I sound like Kasparov.
Oh right, yes. Yo, yes.
I'm better looking actually.
So black's done well here. Yes, g5 is very nice. Black's got good dark square control. And so say e3 here. So d6, and that g5 could also be useful for discouraging f4 later. So does black actually want a castle queenside here? Maybe. No, I wouldn't have thought so. But he's delaying castling here in these games. Oh, they're all white wins. Let's go back there for a sec. Did black have to take on e5? Oh, there was bishop e6. Let's go back again. So bishop e2 apparently is doing well here. Well, it's a very, very small game sample. This is kind of meaningless. I think this is just the reasonably...
I think it's a nice line to point out for black. I mean, if
oh, but here h5 is given as a dangerous move, basically, statistically.
Well, it looks dangerous,
as you were saying earlier. So now let's have a look at one of these. So Abasov, I think I've heard of him. So he played h4. Oh, we're going to have to update the plugin. Whoops. Oh dear, no, I don't want a Java download. Okay, what we're going to do is actually just use a different game viewer. Hopefully. Oh dear. Oh, this could be Poxy. Do we spend time updating the Java? These are really annoying, these plugins sometimes. Okay, how long is this going to take? 6 years? Oh dear. Okay, we're just installing Java. Okay, should have done this before. I didn't know this was going to be a problem.
Can we go back to the actual...
Yeah. We can look at the PGN. No, let's go back to the Explorer.
Let's go back. Okay.
Okay, well that's taking away.
I think just the reason I mentioned having a look at g5 is if you want to play from the black side, bishop f4 is the main move, and g5 will take a lot of your opponents by surprise.
Yeah, I think from the black side that's going to be the most dynamic.
Well, it's one of those very sharp moves that puts the onus on white to find an accurate reply. And if he's never seen it before, it's got good shock value.
Yeah, I think I'd like that for my bullet on chess cube and blitz and 2 minute. I know it's a terrible form of chess, but it's very addictive. The 1 minute, 2 minute, and 3 minute.
I can't click my mouse fast enough. I'm sorry. You might want to go back and look at bishop d2.
Yeah, bishop d2 looks like another logical sort of idea. So actually, let's just zoom back here. So, oh, okay. Okay, hang on a sec. Sorry about this. Oh dear.
You seem to be getting a message that your PC's about to crash.
Oh, do you have this problem with Java?
No, I use a Mac.
Oh dear. Detecting Java on the computer. Okay, I think that was just for Internet Explorer. It wasn't even for Chrome. How wonderful. So we can go back here. Okay, thanks for that. Okay, so we're back here, and we've got 14 viewers. Hi, good evening all. I'm with Fat and Mad from YouTube. He's a very strong FIDE experienced player. So we're going to look at bishop, after this bishop f4 g5 move.
I think the main move is bishop g2.
g2. So get the bishop on the diagonal, try and exploit those weaknesses.
Yeah, and also to oppose the black bishop as well, right?
So yeah, let's check this one out then. Knight e5. What about just bishop c3 then? More.
Yeah, bishop c3 or knight f3, both fine.
Okay, so bishop g7. Okay, so here e3. That's scoring well for white. e3. So that does carry an immediate tactical threat, doesn't it, of f4 just to exploit the pin.
Mm-hmm.
So black has to clamp down on f4. So he plays something like, actually, queen e7, f4. Oh yeah, the e file to take him. So g4 looks very committal. It's like these squares are being weakened even more. So knight's coming to f4 here with knight e2. Just f4. That looks very nice and positional when we're playing it. That looks kind of very, very nice for white.
Well, white has to find bishop d2, right?
Oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
What's happened here?
Oh, I don't know. You have to install Java for all the various browsers. Click here to refresh. Have we got it now? Nope. Fantastic.
If you invite me around to do some chess and it's hammer tonight, what's going on?
I don't know. I don't know.
It took me 2 hours to get here as well.
Is it going to actually do it in Chrome this time? I just hate all these Java updates. Yeah, I say every day. Oh. Alright, I'm going to have to change viewer or change site. I don't know. Let's just stick to the opening Explorer then, as we're not going to be able to get into these games. So knight f4 looks like a nice position anyway. Okay, so these two STEM games. So if anyone wants to research this, have a look at the STEM games in your own time. There was a Bronstein one, David Bronstein. That would have been nice to have looked at. All right, we'll go back. So we're talking knight g4. So bishop f4 is the main move. Yeah. So g5 we're saying is not that hot.
Well, it's worth a surprise value, yeah. But the main move is knight c6.
Okay, so let's have a look at knight c6.
So here the whole play revolves around the e5 pawn. So black will eventually regain it at the cost of some tempi, and the question is, can white use that tempi to make some concessions to gain some concessions from black? Yeah,
I think also white's got nice control of d5 potentially. So even if he loses the pawn back, so check is given as the most statistically trodden move here.
Oh, without a doubt.
So getting that annoying pin potentially.
And then,
so white usually doesn't want to suffer structurally.
I play knight bd2 here.
So now queen e7, right?
Yeah, so
just going up on the pawn.
Going up on the pawn.
Right.
And e3 is the main move.
Okay, so we're really testing now.
Yeah.
What happens?
So knight takes e5.
And black gets the pawn back.
Bishop e2. So
it's going to be bishop e2. I thought you didn't know the theory of all this.
I know the theory from white. Yeah, bishop e2. And now this is a key position. So if we look at this, white's going to castle on the next move, and once he does, the bishop on b4 can be a little bit out of play. So white's idea is to castle, then to move the knight to b3.
Oh, to d4.
To b3, and then attack the black squared bishop with a3.
Ah.
Right, so the black squared bishop can be a little bit trapped.
Oh, right, and then c5 is a disaster.
Exactly right. So what normally happens is that around about here, black normally castles.
Yeah.
And once white castles.
Yep.
The key move is bishop takes d2.
Blimey, not so, because the bishop's really got problems here.
Yeah. So whilst black gets easy development in the Budapest, he often has to give something up to get that, and that's the bishop pair.
Yeah. Yeah, he's focusing on that knight on e5.
I've got some very fond memories of this position.
From the white point of view?
Yeah, I've never lost from this position. I've won quite a few games.
Yeah, because this dark square bishop, I mean, it gives...
Yeah, so...
potentially winning trump cards.
Okay,
two bishops.
And generally speaking, what white will do next all depends on... He'll move a rook somewhere, right? So it depends what rook move he makes.
Oh, right, the f rook to d1.
But the key strategic plan for white is to play c5.
Yeah, this b4 might be about c5 just to try and undermine the d6 point.
Exactly, and
And if c6, then d6 is a more exploitable weakness. That'll be just terrible.
Yes.
If c6. So let's have maybe look at. So either way, all of three of these moves is well, fd1 especially and b4. They're designed about d6. So let's have a look. So okay, so there's these ideas, and statistically, white's winning from here. Okay. So and let's have a look at the rook moves. So rook fd1. So there's b6 or knight g6.
Short players against Karpov ones.
Oh right.
Yeah.
And did he do all right?
He either lost or drew. I can't remember.
Oh, this Explorer is from ChessGames.com. That's ChessGames.com. Should give credit to ChessGames.com. They got an excellent opening Explorer. So if you want to like explore variations, this is very good. They've got statistics on the right. I'm just focusing on the board, though, to give you a bigger board at the moment. But it's ChessGames.com. So so b6 or knight g6 not faring too well. So b6.
So b6 kind of asked for b4.
Yeah, still b4. Even as a pawn sack, maybe.
Even as a pawn sack, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, it is used as a pawn sack here. Because that extra pawn's not really very helpful. It's fragmented.
No, exactly. So you detonate the black queenside pawns, and then you deploy your rooks on the queenside to try and muff them up.
And there's a tactic going on here. Queen c5. How's that?
Queen c5. I think you play a rook to c1, and there's problems on c7.
Which we can't see an example game, of course. Okay. So yeah, Queen takes c5. There's Ian Rogers. I think that's Grandmaster Ian Rogers.
Yeah,
so
he's Australian Grandmaster.
Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. Wow. Where should we rewind back to? This position after. So knight f3, bishop b4 check has its issues, but if black doesn't do bishop b4
well,
check,
it's the only
the only move. Yeah. So knight c3, could that give black a good game then? A much better game than, because the structure, maybe you could just take on c3, or just what's this queen e7. Just have a quick look at this. Queen e7 here.
And queen d5 is the main move.
All right, that seems kind of okay. A sort of greedy move, holding on to the pawn.
It is.
And it doesn't matter about the double pawns.
It does well for white, though, right?
Yeah, the double pawns are no big deal here. So white's winning most of these games.
Well, the thing is that the E pawn is pretty secure for a bit.
Yeah.
So white's going to play h3, yeah?
All right, so let's say f6.
Yeah, f6 is more or less false, I think.
Yeah, because otherwise h3 and then the knight's not assisting
Exactly.
to undermine e5. So ef, knight f6. We're in a murky kind of gambit scenario now. So queen d3. So white's got control of the center, but this bishop might be a problem here, surely. This bishop on f1, or is it just, oh, it's just going to play g3. All right, g3, just put it on there, yeah, g3. Okay, so this is problem for black.
I prefer white here.
This position, yeah, bishop g2.
I mean, he's a pawn up as well, right?
Yeah.
Bishop pair, central pawns. I mean, I guess maybe black can attack the c4 pawn.
Yeah, but look, I was thinking about that. Say bishop e6, but actually bishop g4 seems to be the most trodden move here. So after castles, rook a e8. Maybe black's just trying to put pressure on the centre. Maybe wriggle the bishop back potentially. So, oh, actually, is that a duplicate game? There were two wins here from this position. Maybe black's got some dynamic compensation here. Yeah, I think. Well, anyway, that knight c3 is asking for a bit of trouble potentially. So there have been some black wins in this one, but it wasn't forced to play that knight c3. So the more solid and secure is just knight bd2 here.
Yeah, that's the move I've always played.
Yeah. So queen e7. So and an e3. That's a very nice plan. E3 then. Yeah. Was there anything else worth looking at there, or should we go back to? Have a look at knight e4 briefly.
It might be worth having a look at knight e4.
Yeah, let's have a look at knight e4 then. So d takes e5, so the Fajaritz, whatever. I don't know.
Okay, so this is much more trappy, right? Knight e4.
Yeah. In fact, look, there's a disaster for white statistically after queen c2. Should we have a quick look at that? Also knight c3. Well, that's a sample of 15.
Well, let's have a look, and it might show some of the pitfalls.
So queen c2, yeah. I think I remember this from my Budapest Gambit book. There's a sort of pawn gambits here. So d5 or bishop b4. Play d5. So white has two ways of capturing that pawn. En passant or c takes d. Is there a major problem with cd? I guess there is, because it's not mentioned.
CD. Don't know. Maybe just queen takes.
Yes, CD. What's
CD queen takes.
Queen takes, you think? Possibly. Okay, so ED6 seems to develop, though, potentially. No, it's attacking the knight. Pardon me.
Yeah.
So it's getting rid of the defence. So something has to be done to protect the knight. Doesn't mind losing another pawn with d takes c7, but black might have good play with d takes c7. This is the sort of position that white wants, dc7 or queen a4 check maybe. So knight c3 looks kind of solid. Yeah, Alima, could you check with Ribka CD? Yeah, that would be very nice, thanks. So that'd be great. So let's see, knight c3. What's black doing here? Oh, he's losing in this position. A couple of games. So knight d6. I guess there might be e4 here. If we just look at the PGN for what happened actually. Was that e4? Knight c. Oh, it was bishop d3. Okay, just bishop d3.
Knight takes f2.
So knight g3. Okay, it's back in 1944. That game. Actually, I'm just wondering if there's an alternative viewer, which like Misty Beach. If we set that as the alternative viewer, that's still Java. Okay, this is JavaScript. PGN for web. That should be just JavaScript. So we might have better luck looking at some games with this. Yes. Why didn't I think of that before? So we're talking knight g3, queen a4 check, knight b5. Oh, there's the big threat of knight c7 now. And if taking the queen, there's going to be c8. So there's going to be c8 queen, isn't there?
Yeah.
And that was the end of that game.
Yeah. It's supposed to be trappy for white, not black.
So knight takes d6. This is much better. Regret not having this before. Okay, so knight d6, e4. So takes. Bishop d3. What? Knight takes e4. What would happen if knight e4?
Bishop b4 check. Knight goes. Bishop b4 check.
Yeah, bishop b4 check, of course, because then the knight can't go in. If bishop d2, then probably just bishop takes d2 check. So that would be lethal. In fact, does it support analysis? No, it doesn't. Okay, it doesn't matter. So that's interesting. Oh, actually, let's carry on there. So that e4 move.
Looking at the wrong game.
Whoops. So there was this bishop d3. So knight f2, bit violent. Maybe he can just sacrifice the rook with bishop f5. Nope, he plays check. Now he does that. The knight's kind of trapped. And black can't even castle now without losing more material.
Okay.
It looks pretty grim. Oh, he gives up the queen. I don't think black couldn't have been that strong.
How strong are these players?
I don't know. This guy Moritz Moninger, he's only got one game in the database.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, blimey! I think we seem to have okay.
Digressed. We should go back.
Okay, so d takes e5, knight e4. So let's see if we're going into black's hands with say queen c2, then d5. All right, let's play a sensible move, knight f3 now. Actually, let's just give the guys a bigger board again. So over here, okay. So knight c6. So the most trodden move is a3 here to stop all this bishop b4 check.
If Ripka thinks it's unplayable.
All right.
Oh, 1 point advantage. It is a gambit though, right?
All right.
Is the 1 point just the fact that I mean, 1 point, white's a pawn up, right? So you'd expect something like that.
So where was that again? That was in Queen c2 land.
That was in Queen c2 land, yeah.
d5. So c takes d5. So
Yeah.
what happens after c takes d5? Oh,
Yeah.
we can't actually go into that position, unfortunately, with this one. But was the best move for black queen takes d5? That's the main question we had, wasn't it?
Yeah, so after CD, Alima,
Queen takes d5 and an advantage to who? To white.
yeah, queen takes d5.
And that's advantage to... Right, okay. So that's playable as well, it's just that these were more popular. Okay. So E takes d6 is more popular. But it's such tiny game samples.
Yeah, there's not a lot of experience in this line, right?
Yeah. So so knight f3 is the most trodden one.
Yeah.
So then it's a3 to stop the checks. And this bishop's got a problem. Well, this bishop's got a problem developing without. So you're going to have to move that pawn to get the c8 bishop out. So this is a tactical target now, this knight. So it can move to c5 or it could be attempt to be protected, but it's a bit dire. We're talking minimal games here. It's been kicked around. And this can't be good. Bishop b2 is a very nice bishop now, isn't it? So that's better for white in that position. There. So where should we go back now? Where would you like to go back to? Knight g4 then? Should we swing around or?
I don't think we looked at this that in that much detail really. Let's go back to knight e4.
Okay, so d takes e5. So knight g4. Actually, e4. That's an interesting side move. Would it give black a good game from a black point of view? Does it give black much hope? So say knight takes e5. That's got a 31% on it. So say f4. White's a bit ambitious with pawn moves here. So it's a
I think
bit like,
Spassky's played this line.
right. Ah, look at these percentages. They're rising up here. I think white's moved a lot of pawns. It's like a kind of Alekhine defense. So say knight f3. Almost 50% then. So 50% here. Bishop c5. It looks as though black's got a reasonable game, just with the knight's a bit strangely placed here. Okay, so Shirov's actually won with it. Let's have a quick look at this game. So this was in the e4 line. So Shirov had these funny knights. He probably got dark square pressure coming out. He's got a good use of e5 anyway. He doesn't mind losing d6 at some point. Whoa. I think, well, he must be stronger as an opponent than his opponent.
Well, Backrow's a pretty strong player.
Blimey, this is tactical. So if takes, rook c2 and queen f5, I guess. So knight b3 is menaced now. So maybe something like king d2 might be forced, or king c3. Okay, full king 2 pieces. Very sharp game. Okay, not really doing justice to this game, but oh right, it finished there. c5 check. Interesting. So that was a really sharp game in this e4 line. So that offers black some interesting play, maybe this e4. So I think what you're saying is a good, solid. This, I mean, so many pawn moves from white. So black's bound to get a bit of counterplay here. But it was very nice what he did actually. So bishop takes f5.
So I'm saying the Budapest Gambit is too wild. Well, it depends. The problem is in the very main line with Bishop F4, Black. It's not that wild at all. Black actually has a very difficult defense for a draw.
Yeah. So this Bishop F4 is a real pain.
I mean, Robin plays this down the chess club against me quite a lot, and
all right.
I always grind him down. I always say, look, you shouldn't be playing this.
So does he try? He doesn't try G5 much, or
he's only just started playing G5 recently, but I know the antidote. So.
Just Bishop D2.
Yeah.
So check as an alternative. Did we have much of a look at this? Knight D2, just avoiding any structural damage issue. So if D6 ever happens, you can just take that. Oh, Queen F6. This is a bit tricky. Queen F6.
Yeah, this is an interesting line.
Exploiting the weakness of the last move, the E5 control. So it's on B2
and also
on F2.
F2 as well, yeah. So he's attacking the bishop on F4, and also there's I think there is actually knight takes F2 in some lines as well.
All right, this is getting potentially dangerous. So knight H3, just to protect F2 and the F pawn.
Yeah.
And yes, So knight F2. Ooh, this is a bit wild. So white is winning with king takes F2 here. He's allowing G5. Oh, sorry, bigger board. Yeah, I'm sorry. Is that better? Yeah. So this is a very sharp position. Board okay? So I think white doesn't have to fear. Oh, bishop takes H3. Now he just calmly plays G3 because he's attacking that bishop with G3 from his bishop. But then isn't there G5 coming up? Bishop F1 and then G5. This is very strange. Surely is G5 a problem or not? Maybe there's just knight E4 and then taking on G5. It's not a problem. All right, that's why. So white's just great position. What's the material here? It's equal on pawns. It's equal on material. Oh, this isn't so hot. There's only 2 games here. Anyway, so bishop b4 check gave us this.
Yes.
So that seems quite dangerous then. Hang on.
Well, it can transpose back after knight c6, obviously. After knight d2, knight c6 you can transpose back, but d6 is a gambit.
Right, for queen f6, that's quite a dangerous idea.
Yes.
So what would white do here? Was there any improvement there? Queen f6. If you don't play knight h3, right, say e3. Oh, knight takes f2 for the g5 move.
Yeah. And now g5.
Okay, so knight e4. Oh, right, hang on. This is getting sharp. Queen b2 check. I think this is Agnos, by the way. The guy, that Greek guy, Agnos.
Yeah.
His extended long name, Greek name.
He wasn't bad, was he?
Agnos de Polos. Oh, so Jerry Hayes, I played him.
Yeah, I played Jerry. He's normally drunk though when you play him.
So what happened here? Why Queen E2? Anyway. But why Queen E2? So Agnos played this stuff against him with a great game. But he is a much stronger player in general. Let's have a quick look at this game then. So Queen F6, he made this line work, Agnos. So this is a danger line. I might try this myself just to get this Queen F6. It looks pretty good, doesn't it? So it doesn't matter about the knight E4. So he won a whole rook.
He mated him.
And he won. That's a punchline. Oh dear, But
does white really have to give up the rook there?
But if he just moved the king, just takes, black's going to be okay.
What's the material situation? White's a piece up, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just losing his piece back.
So what's wrong with something like bishop e2?
Yeah, it's a shame we can't really analyse this. So hang on, in this bishop f4 line, we're saying bishop b4 might be one of black's best tries. Knight d2, and now d6. So if knight f3, that's not too hot. It's only draws at 57. Black's winning a lot of games here as well. I think we've struck gold for black in this line. Are you shocked? We found a line here. Dynamic line. This could be better than the King's Engine or the Slav.
I don't know about that. Can you start up Ribka so we can?
Yeah. All right, let's have a look. Chess base light. So new board, chess base light. So here, we'll add a Kibitzer. You know, Ribka's been found guilty of being a copy of Fruit and stuff recently.
Copy of what?
Of Fruit.
Fruit?
Yeah, it wasn't completely original, it wasn't credited. So we could use Houdini, but that's just a copy of Ribka. You know, it's a recent thing. Ribka was found guilty of copying some of the code.
Oh, okay.
By this committee. But anyway, look, it's supposed to be okay. Let's go back here. So, is this that bad? Bishop f4. We're going to play check.
Yep.
So d6. Is that one of black's best moves? d6 is actually given by Houdini as one of the best moves here. So takes. Sorry, let's have a look at takes. So we're saying queen f6, which the engine doesn't really consider.
But let's look at it anyway.
Queen f6.
And let it think for a bit. Let it think.
Okay, so is this so clear cut? e3 at the moment, hovering at 0.39. You guys can see this engine hover, and actually this that bit higher. Whoops. So we can see that this position. Oh, actually, what's this knight h3 business? Oh, we examined that before. Knight h3. So e3. Knight h3. Should we go with knight h3 soon?
Yes. Let's look at e3.
So e3. Yeah. Queen takes b2. When we were looking at knight takes f2 before, but anyway, here, this should be okay for white without too much problem.
Yeah, I think it's just fine, isn't it?
Patrick says Ribka was actually banned from all future engine tournaments. Yeah. Let's
go back to look at knight f2.
Okay, so here, one of the main points about this queen f6 is this strange sort of provocative idea to play g5 and even promote the idea of knight e4. So what happened strangely in that Agnos game?
So that's false. Knight e2. Yeah. Okay. So
knight e2.
That's serious. Knight e2 is a lot must be a better move, right, than queen e2.
Yeah. So queen e2 is a disaster move.
Yeah, it's rubbish, right?
So it just takes.
Yeah.
All right, not taking here, because that diagonal would be a disaster, wouldn't it? If takes, that's a disaster for white. No, it's okay. Okay.
I think rook b1 looks like a good move anyway.
Yeah. So check. King f3 or even king e3, but it looks a bit hairy, a little bit hairy with the king.
Yeah, but queen d5 is coming, or
actually, sorry, the bishop anyway. So f5. Oh, c5, technical defense on e4. Attacking the rook. White's going to end up better here. But actually, look at how the evaluation shriveled. It was 1, and now it's going down and down and down. to 4-6.
Well, the better prepared player here will have a big advantage, right?
Not, I wouldn't say 4-6 is a major big deal.
I think the evaluation is more or less meaningless in a position like this. You either know what you're doing or you're not, right?
Yeah. I don't know. So, blimey. So this is quite a sharp. So if you want to play this with black, so let's actually flip the board. So we want to play knight g4, and against bishop before we want to play check, d6 with the idea of queen f6. So, whoops, d6. So say takes queen f6, and now here the idea of knight f2. Sorry, queen b2 and knight f2. No, knight f2, promote that variation. Some interesting play anyway. Interesting. Okay, let's stop that. Should we? I don't know. Do you want to carry on for a bit?
Yeah,
should we,
carry on. Are the people finding it useful? Or?
How are you guys finding it so far? I know we're going on and on about stuff. I hope it's a bit. It's on the fly coverage. Are you guys okay so far? So we're going to just turn off. Look at another gambit.
Any suggestions?
Okay. How do I stop this engine? It is stopped. I'll just click X there. Halloween. I'm a bit loath to sort of skip to another gambit actually without stopping the video at least.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to look at here though? Does anyone want to look at any other moves here off the knight g4? We did have a brief look at e4. With knight f3's the other one, of course, which might invite bishop c5. So you just protect your f2.
That's not the best move.
And you just play solidly bishop e2. You let black recapture.
Yeah. White's always just a little bit better here. These type of positions.
But there was an idea I remember about the third rank being used for attack. If
a5, rook a6 and rook h6, that idea.
Yeah, because look at the third rank here. If black doesn't commit a pawn to d6, that's a very cheeky idea.
Yeah,
play
not necessarily in this position.
Sorry, bigger board, yeah, sorry. So here, yeah, look, this third rank for a rook switch to the king side. So let's see how that could happen. So king h1's actually given 40% for black. There was only a very tiny gain total, but a5 is the cheeky move, not d6. So a3, Svidler's probably going to switch his going for the kill here against a lower rated GM. Let's have a look at this for a laugh then. What happened here? So he kept his third rank clear with his classic a5. He's using it. He's a hacker. This is how I'd play it. Yeah, with rook 8. If I'm going to play this, play it with style, not play d6.
Yeah.
Because what is the rook doing there on a8?
The a5 idea, I think, comes up in the main line as well.
So f4 attacks the queen. Now the rook's swinging for the kill on h2. These pawns are a bit weak. So is the bishop shut out now? Nope, not anymore. So the rook's also useful defending h7 here. Whoa.
Yeah, of course. Standing mate wins defending h7.
And of course black's better now. He just outplays his opponent. He's better. He's just one material now. He's got very active bishops and rooks. So that's not how to play it with white. Something went terribly wrong there. So that's the Adler variation. A52. Oh, that's Adler. Okay. So we're saying here. So castle's gone knight c3. So maybe king h1 isn't the best move here. Just what's this b3 about then? I mean, I would have thought also a3 might be considered, but maybe that's too slow. How much does chess games cost?
It's free. Yeah.
Well, I'm a full member there, so
Yeah.
it's like I think 30 a year.
You can actually sign up to it for free as well, can't you?
Yeah, you got some usage of this opening explorer for free though. The first few moves. So B3, not wasting time with A3, B4. So Rook A6 again. Oh right, White's interfering with Black's plan with Queen D5. Of course, he's trying to provoke D6 from Black so the Rook can't come across. If Black refuses, now this bishop could be dangerous on the diagonal. Knight E4, striking immediately at E5. So Black's forced to defend that. It's not too promising for White, these statistics anymore. That's interesting as well, isn't it? That Knight F3. So Bishop F4 looks to be a superior move to Knight F3 because of these issues, maybe. Some of these issues.
I just think Bishop F4 is very solid. I mean, if you can play that way as White, where you don't really give the opponent any winning chances, it's a good way to go, isn't it?
But don't you
Bishop
have preference for Knight F3 out of principle, knights before bishops? In this position?
When I first started playing the White side of this, I just looked up the theory, and Bishop F4 was just given as the main move.
You didn't question it. It just fits in.
It did look a bit odd, but I think it was recommended either by Alekhine or Keres. I can't remember which one it was.
Actually, what's this book say? Bishop F4 is called the Bishop System. Is that the first system looked at?
That's imaginative.
The Bishop System, yes. The Knight System is Knight F3. The Bishop System, or the Alekhine System, is E4.
It's very creative.
So the Bishop System, huh? Very, very, very interesting. So that's the way to go. So this A5 stuff couldn't occur as easily here. Let's see if it can transpose. Would it be playing Bishop C5?
Bishop B4 check. If you look at Bishop B4 check, go back to that line. Knight beat D2. Queen E7. E3. Knight takes E5.
So yes, could it occur here? But this bishop's got an extra issue
Bishop
now.
E2, so castles.
That queen on E7's not that helpful.
So bishop takes.
No, it doesn't have the same. Doesn't have the same effect here.
So you can play A5 here.
It's not as effectual.
It's not
So
as
let's have a look.
effectual.
Why? Well, that dark square bishop's not going to help. Yeah, already Black was compelled to block the third rank. So what was wrong with bishop on B4 again? Yeah, we did find a good line in this line, this bishop F4 line. Don't know, with bishop B4. That's probably worth a punt. So knight D2, D6. This is probably the way to play with Black. So I'll just zoom that back over here. So this is an interesting way of playing. So ED, you play Queen F6, and it's kind of dangerous. So let's have a look. Bishop G3. Is there a total disaster with Queen takes B2? The threat now is Bishop D2, Queen D2, and Queen A1.
I've had this in Blitz quite a few times.
Ouch! This looks bad now. Bishop F5 is also now threatening probably some nasties. After white castles, you mean?
Which position is that?
Sorry.
Okay, yeah. So after white castles, if Black doesn't take the knight on D2, White will play knight B3.
Sorry, where should I go?
It's the main line. So bishop B4, knight D2. Okay.
So here, knight F3.
Knight F3. Bishop B4 check, knight D2. Queen E7. E3. Knight G takes E5. Bishop knight takes bishop E2. Yep. Castles. Then white castles. You mean this position, Alima, yeah?
Do you mean this position?
Yeah. Okay. So White's strategic plan is to play knight b3, and then, or even knight b1 actually.
Right, so let's have a look at
hang on a sec. So and then play a3 and b4, expanding on the queen side to harass the black squared bishop. If you look at it, it's got no squares. It can usually get trapped or put out of play.
Let's try knight g6 then as an example. Oh, so that the bishop has to move though after knight g6.
Yeah.
Right. So say black just ignored that idea. Oh, what does white do here? Did he actually follow that? Oops. So knight b3, a3.
Yeah, and then you see, and then
bang.
That's it. So there you go. So the black's pawn structure is compromised, and he loses the bishop pair.
Ouch. And that default's not particularly great as well.
Yeah.
So this attack's a bit desperate here.
I just think white's better, right?
Yeah.
I don't think clicking through it is really that informative.
Okay. Yeah. White's just better.
Yeah.
There's no real attack there.
Yeah. So that's why, if you look at the statistics.
So we've got a5 just as another example of that knight plan that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So even a3. That's 25%. So knight b3.
Knight b3. I think you can play a4 after knight b in this position after a5.
Or even knight b1. Have a look.
Yeah, knight b1's okay.
Wow. That's this position.
And the idea after knight b1 is once the bishop moves is to reroute the knight to c3 and then d5.
Oh right, knight d5. Just trying to pick up the knight squared bishop.
Yeah.
So he picks up the knight squared bishop. Even doesn't mind a pawn on d5. I think black's got weaknesses now to pick on. He doesn't mind this opposite colour bishop scenario. F5 is a bit vulnerable here. Okay, it looks as though the rook g4 was being threatened. So it looks as though black's in real trouble. Okay, so there's some tactic there. Okay, that's interesting. Australian Open 1999. Right. So that's interesting. Yeah, this bishop's a real pain. So knight b3 here.
I think a4.
Alright, you can still play a3 here. This isn't so good for white statistically, according to this. So the bishop can go back to d6 here. Might escape. Maybe c6 coming up. Oh, it just goes to c5. With b4 being crippled now because of the en passant. So that's not so bad for black. So that a5 is an interesting idea.
It is. I'm not sure what the right antidote to a5 is actually.
a5. Sorry, I'll just zoom in on that a5, this position. So a5 might be a nice move here. Instead of giving up the bishop voluntarily.
I think knight b1's a good move.
So knight b1, yeah. There was that game with knight b1.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But a5 is an alternative. I mean, bishop takes d2 is the main move by a long way. Yes, if you go back to look at the statistics, so bishop d2 is the main move.
No, actually, look.
Actually, no. It's I'm sure that's. Is this a complete database?
It's a reasonably sized database. Yeah. Wow.
Don't you use ChessBase, no?
I usually use this for convenience actually, rather than online.
There must be more than this amount of games with this line, I would have thought. But anyway.
Wow, so there are some certain dynamics we're highlighting actually that black's not without resources against.
I think if you're going to play the Budapest, it pays to know it, to know more than one line. Because white has quite a few options that he can play.
Okay, well, we've coming into an hour. Shall we stop there?
Yeah, let's have a rest.
Yeah, okay, we'll have a 5-minute break. Maybe you guys can suggest if you want a little bit more for another gambit. What did you want? Halloween gambit, someone mentioned. But we're going to stop here now. Thanks, guys. Back in a few minutes.